Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Fantasy Football Consistency Show. We're heading into week 10. Half the season is over, and we are back with palm tree laden, Canton, Ohio. And my good friend Ron Rigney from the real palm tree laden, even though you don't see them there, they're outside the door. I know it. But he's there in Florida, just soaking up the sun and getting ready for Christmas season with that beer. Love it. That Chris Kringle look. It's killing it. What's going on, Ron?
Yeah, we do have the palm trees. They are here. I promise you, they're everywhere. Yeah, it's hard to believe that it's almost the second week in November already. The election is come and gone. I'm sure a lot of people are happy about that. But it's hard to believe that we are in double-digit weeks as far as the season. And believe it or not, those playoffs are they're coming up pretty fast and furious, and those big bye weeks are coming up too. So hopefully we can get you a couple names here. Maybe they've already had their bye week. Maybe they're sitting out on waivers. Maybe again, you might still have not hit the trade deadline in your league. So maybe we can give you a couple names that maybe you can go after there as well that are going to get you those clutch games in those key weeks.
Yeah, like you said, we're 5 weeks away from most regular seasons being over week 14. But also, as you mentioned, week 12, week 14, both have 6 teams off respectively in both of those weeks. So a lot of strong bye weeks. This week's not too bad, right? We got 4. So we've got a few this week. So Raiders, Seattle, Green Bay, and Cleveland. Right, I knew the Cleveland was off. So no Cedric Tillman this week. Dang, I was winning some good money with that boy every week in my prop bets. So I won't get to go to grab him, but just want to show off my shirt. Sex, drugs, and fantasy football. Compliments, of course, of our good friend from Texas. You know her, of course, as I went brain. Casey Kasem. Anyway, check out her site, Sunday Dreamers Club, I think. Pretty sure that's it. So check it out. Sex, drugs, and fantasy football. It doesn't get any better than that. Should have rock and roll underneath it too, but we'll just go with fantasy football. So make sure you go check out her site. Great stuff. And we'll make sure we tweet her into this week's thing. So, Ron, like you said, we're here week 9. We're looking at the quarterback position first, right there at the top. This year is having an MVP season. Last year I questioned it, but whatever. He was only 63% consistent. He's blown that away. He's 100% consistent. He's playing tonight. By the time this video goes out, probably the game will be over for sure. So Lamar Jackson, number 1, 89%. Right behind him, Baker Mayfield. Yeah, Baker Mayfield. Your top 2 wide receivers are gone. Is that a problem? No, sir. Put up 2 straight clutch games, mostly because they have to throw the ball a lot because the running game hasn't been doing too well. But he's still out there crushing it. Second in total points. And quite a bit ahead. I mean, he's 29 points ahead of Joe Burrow, who's in 3rd place. So Baker's just looking great out there. I mean, certainly right now he's looking like a guy that will be probably on a lot of our teams next year if we can get Godwin and Evans back for sure. But certainly proven he can do well. 78%, Jaden Daniels, 75%. We have Jalen Hurts, Sam Darnold, who continues to have a good season. 67%, Joe Burrow and Josh Allen and Geno Smith. 60%, I'm going to talk about that guy in a little bit. There are only 2 others over 50. Jordan Love, Bo Nix. Bo Nix has went up 4 as his last 5. So if you haven't picked him up as your backup, you should, because he might come in handy somewhere down the road if your starter goes down. The rest are all under 50%, Ron. It is UGLY, you ain't got no alibi, you ugly. For those of you who need to be reminded, and I know you don't, but if you're a Patrick Mahomes owner, which I am only in a couple of leagues, luckily I didn't go too crazy. Right now, he is only 6 points ahead of Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones is 44% consistent, and Patrick Mahomes is only 38% consistent. Ron, what the hell is going on out there with that team? They're 9-0, but it doesn't matter because as fantasy owners, we don't care. We won't care if you're 4-5. Patrick, get us some points.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we talk about in fantasy baseball all the time about prospects that are coming up when we're speculating on those, we always say, I think this guy's going to be a better real life player than he is a fantasy player. And we've got a lot of that going on, especially with Patrick Mahomes. And, if you're a Chiefs fan, you love what the Chiefs look like. But if you're a fantasy Patrick Mahomes owner, you know that it's not panning out the way that you planned it. It's crazy. And it's crazy, too. The guy I'm going to talk about here is 2 straight clutch games. And those 2 straight clutch games have only put him at 44% on the season. So if you don't have one of those guys at the top, huh?
He doubled it with 2.
He did.
He doubled
on
it.
fire, on
He's on
fire.
fire.
And so these guys at the top, you were talking about Baker Mayfield. I'm lucky enough to have Jordan Love and Baker Mayfield on one of my Kings Classic teams, and I'm trying to figure out which guy to trade. I don't know which one I can move, and I feel like Jordan Love is the guy that I want to trade, and I never thought that would be the case after those 2 receivers went down. But the guy that I'm going to highlight here is a guy that he's owned in 52% of ESPN leagues. Again, I said he's only 44% consistent, but he's got 2 straight clutch games, and that's Aaron Rodgers. Dude's gotten a lot of flack from every which way, but last couple of games, 5 touchdowns. The yardage totals are kind of modest, 233 and 211. But the key thing is he hasn't thrown the ball over in 2 games. He hasn't thrown an interception, and that's always key for you. You hate to, especially if you're in one of those 4-point passing touchdown leagues and you get a 2-point penalty or a 1-point penalty or whatever for an interception. He hasn't thrown one. Next couple of weeks, he's got the Cardinals, he's got the Colts, couple of offenses or defenses that are kind of friendly to fantasy quarterbacks. He's targeting Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams early and often. He's building that rapport there. Also got Allen Lazard in the mix, who's a decent fantasy option as well. And Tyler
IR, though.
And Tyler Conklin at tight end, who's got a couple clutch games in the last few weeks as well. Touchdown dependent, though. But nonetheless, Aaron Rodgers, if he's out there, you need a bye week guy. You can definitely do a lot worse, especially with the couple of matchups he's got coming up.
Yeah. Like you said, be careful with Lazard. I think went on IR out for a few
weeks.
Okay.
Anyway. Okay.
But you brought up a great point about quarterbacks who are winning in real life, but not in. And so Jared Goff, also 38%. They're first place in their division. CJ Stroud, Kyler Murray, Kirk Cousins, Trevor Lawrence, 12th in total points, 33% consistent. Prescott, 25% consistent. Matthew Stafford, 25% consistent. These teams are all doing well in real life, but fantasy-wise, not so good. Now, as you mentioned, as we've talked, some of these guys are starting to get their thing together, get their act together. Matthew Stafford, and that's not the guy I'm going to talk about. I just want to bring up Matthew Stafford, 2 straight clutch games when he's got Puka Nacua, who's not punching people at any point, and Cooper Kupp out there. Really been, obviously that offense is clicking. Their defense isn't very good this year because they lost Aaron Donald to retirement. So they're throwing the ball a lot. Definitely, again, might be worth picking up somebody like him as well. But the guy I want to talk about that I mentioned is at 60% consistent, but he's only played 5 games. Why? Because he just became the new starter for the New England Patriots. Rookie Drake May, 3 out of his last 4, 3 for 5, 60%. But, first game jitters, he's, not too bad. But he's, like I said, 3 out of his last 4. But definitely, again, maybe like a Bo Nix. Pick him up, stash him, have him as a bye week fill-in maybe if you need that. It depends on how deep your league is and how many bench spots you got available. But, if you're struggling at the quarterback position, Drake may not be, especially if he's got the right matchup. He's putting up some decent numbers. Not big numbers. I mean, he's only averaging like 16 points a game in those 5 games. But, he's definitely been picking it up ever since, his first week. So definitely take a look at Drake May out there. As we move on to the running back position, King Henry still 100% consistent, but he's not alone, folks. Bijan Robinson, Kyren Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Kareem Hunt, since he's been the starter, all at 100%. Of course, Kareem Hunt 5 for 5. All of these guys, top picks. Kyren, not a lot of love for him. Everybody thought he was going to be replaced. It's just a matter of time before he goes. Not going to lie, I was one of them. I didn't really have that strong, gut feeling about him, but he has proven all of us wrong and has been having a great season so far, 5th in total points. 89% Alvin Kamara, Josh Jacobs, 88% Barkley, David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, Kenneth Walker, and Brian Robinson at 86%. 83% is Jonathan Taylor. The one I think is kind of surprising, Chuba Hubbard, 78%, just signed a big, 4-year deal to keep him, even though everybody wants him out of the way so Jonathan Brooks can play. Except, of course, as Chuba Hubbard owners, we're like, wait a minute, why is he being replaced? He's doing great for us. Don't let him get out of there. But I think they've got some talent there. So him and Brooks together might be a great 1-2 punch down the road, kind of like Montgomery and Gibbs. But Ron, the top of the list here, pretty strong. I mean, not too many surprises. Now that things are starting to flush out, there's still some big names that aren't all the way up there, but they're on their way. Brees Hall and those kind of folks. So tell us your thoughts about the group running back position, and then who you going to highlight this week for folks to keep an eye on?
Yeah, again, at the top, just like last week, not a ton of surprises. It's one of those things. You were talking about Kyron Williams, and Kareem Hunt kind of reminds me of what Kyron Williams was last year. If you were to pluck him off of waivers or even draft him late as a late dart throw, he ended up being a league winner, at least for me, and he was one of the keys to my Kings Classic team last year. And Kareem Hunt's been that this year. Kareem Hunt has been just kind of I guess, for lack of a better term, a breath of fresh air that, people were going out and getting Carson Steele and they were getting Samaje Perine. And, you and I both kind of went the same route, and we said, we'll throw $12-13 at Kareem Hunt and see what happens. And that's turned out to work pretty well. Another guy I did that this week, I threw a little bit more money than I wanted to, but again, we're gearing up for those playoffs. Khalil Herbert, who got traded to Cincinnati. Chase Brown is the guy there with Zach Moss being out. Khalil Herbert can still contribute. Could be a deeper league flex option. Just kind of wait and see what they do with him. Be interesting to see if they get him involved a little bit tonight. But the guy that I'm going to highlight is a guy that I liked coming into drafts when the season started. One of the things I like to do with those late picks is I like to get those rookie running backs that might be backups. Obviously those guys that are starters are going to be higher picks, but the guy that I'm going with here is Ray Davis, 5'8", 220. The dude is built like a Mack truck. Showed out in the game that James Cook sat out in. I believe that was a Sunday night or Monday night game. Paid off if you had him there. 20 carries, 97 yards, and then went 3 for 55. Caught a long touchdown last week, 2 for 70 in the air. So again, James Cook's the guy there, but James Cook's not built for this 20 carry type stuff. He's going to start wearing down as the season goes on. I look for them to get Ray Davis in a little bit more. Again, got only 6 touches last week, but was able to get a clutch game. And I think even with that big body that he's got, he's a deceptively good receiver out of the backfield, and he's got that big playability, much like James Cook does, only on a bigger frame. So if you can get Ray Davis and stash him, I'm not sure what his ownership is. In more shallow leagues, it's probably pretty widespread. You probably got to go talk to that James Cook owner who probably handcuffed him. But again, been talking about Ray Davis since before the year started, and he's outperformed just about every other rookie running back there is.
Yeah, no, he's certainly looked good. I mean, they really didn't get him too much involved at the beginning. Cook was on fire anyway. But you're right. I mean, teams are figuring out that they need those two backs. Again, this is why Carolina signed Chuba Hubbard, because he's young. They can keep him, and then they have Jonathan Brooks. So, they can keep both of them fresh, just like a lot of these teams are doing. When they got 2 good ones, it's working out well for them. So, definitely love that pick. I have Davis on the bench in a couple leagues, no Kings Classic leagues, but a couple leagues where it's like, I just grabbed him at the end because it's like, why not? And I didn't even have James Cook. I just heard a lot of great things about him and kind of just stashed him. Guy that's been kind of pretty red hot lately, and I don't think a lot of people are talking about it. Mostly because, the Cowboys stink and they're losing everybody, and now Dak is going down for a while. But Rico Dotto has kind of emerged from that messy backfield with Zeke Elliott. And believe it or not, folks, he's put up 4 out of his last 5 clutch games. Now, he had a bye week, and then he didn't play the next week. So actually, he's 4 for 4 because he didn't actually play at all in week 8 due to an injury. So realistically, he's put up 4 straight. I mean, I looked at it, and then when I looked online, I'm like, oh, he didn't even play that game. Now, a lot of it's been touchdown dependent. 3 out of those 4 games, he did score a touchdown, but he's catching passes, 5 for 32 last week. The game before that he played, he was 5 for 30 as well. And in some of these games, he's put up some decent rushing yards, 75 yards last week. Week 5, he put up 87 yards on 20 carries. So he's basically now the backfield. I think they've pretty much given up on Zeke, as they should. And he's proving that, he might be the guy to get him through. Without Dak now, I got to believe that they're going to probably rely on him a little bit more. We're not even sure if CD Lamb's going to play this week. So I feel like he's got the potential to really get see the ball a lot this week. Let's see who they're playing. They are playing at Atlanta. Decent matchup there for him. So check a look out there and see if Rico Dotto is somebody, if you're in a shallow league, that might be available. Let's move on to the wide receiver position. And we still have 5. We have 5 perfects. 2 of them are not playing. Chris Godwin, who's 7 for 7, is out for the year. So he'll be there the rest of the year. Nico Collins is at 5 for 5. He's supposed to be coming back maybe this week, maybe next week. We'll see. So the true only 100%er right now is Justin Jefferson at 8 for 8. But Jamar Chase, 8 for 9, 89%. CD Lamb, 88%, 7 for 8. At 86%, Malik Neighbors, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, T. Higgins at 80%, but both of them have only played 5 games due to injuries. 78%, we've got Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Terry McLaurin, and then 75, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Khalil Shakir, Stephon Diggs, who's out for the year, and Cooper Kupp's working his way back to that as well. So Ron, probably the biggest surprise to me, and he's played 8 games and he's 6 out of 8, is Khalil Shakir from Buffalo. The rest of these, not a big. I think we all expected Malik Neighbors to be good. I don't think we thought this good. I know that a lot more people probably drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. a lot higher in the draft, but he's 22nd in total points and only 4 out of 9 at 44%. Neighbors is certainly proving that he is the better wide receiver, at least so far. And again, time will tell. Not that Marvin Harrison's not good. It's just not pulling his weight for fantasy owners, that some of them drafting him 2nd round, 3rd round, ahead of guys like, McLaurin, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, those kind of guys. What are your thoughts on the wide receiver position, and who are you highlighting this week for that?
Would have thought there'd been at least a couple more guys at 100%, based upon the last couple of years when we've gone so wide receiver heavy in that 1st and 2nd round. But again, you talked about a couple guys that are hurt, only have that one true one there. I know my 1st round pick in a lot of leagues was Amon-Ra St. Brown, just because of where my 1st round pick fell. And he's at 75%, 8th in total points, so not terrible. Would have liked to have seen him a little bit higher. A.J. Brown owners, watch his status this week. He left last week's game with an injury. Not sure what his status is. Looks like he's going to play, but I'm hoping it's not one of those Julio Jones type games where he's out there and he's not healthy and he's just kind of a decoy and he gets you 2 for 30 and that's about it. So we're crossing our fingers for more there. But just, kind of the usual suspects here. You talked about Khalil Shakir. I think that's chalk that up to just last man standing. There's not much left. I know they went and got Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper might be out this week. I think he was out last week as well. So again, Khalil Shakir is just kind of that guy that's kind of left to throw to. The guy that I want to highlight, though, put up a clutch game last week. He's not super consistent, missed a couple weeks with injury, and that's Quentin Johnston, a guy that we've talked about, early on in the season here, a guy that you got late in drafts, kind of the de facto number 1 there when Keenan Allen and Mike Williams left town, even though Mike Williams rarely saw the field, but Keenan Allen really opened things up for him. And if you look at Quentin Johnston's numbers last week, 4 for 118 in a score, I got those 22 points. I got him on my bench in both Kings Classic leagues. Luckily, I still pulled it out. And I don't think we're alone in that category. I think it gives me a little bit of hope, though. Justin Herbert's looked a little bit better. They look like they want to throw the football a little bit more. Justin Herbert recorded a clutch game last week. But Quentin Johnston on the season, 4 touchdowns. The yardage totals, that was his first time over 100 for this week. But if you look at ESPN leagues, he's still only on 21% of rosters. So, again, those bye weeks are coming up. You're going to start having to stockpile these guys. Get you a nice little arsenal on your bench. But, again, he's seen targets In the last few weeks here, target totals 5, 4, 5, and then he's got 5 and 6 the first couple of weeks. He's only been below 5 targets for 2 games. So again, he's going to get 5 or 6 targets if he can haul them in. And he's one of Justin Herbert's favorites in the red zone as well. And for being a big guy, he can break one too. So 21% of leagues, go see if he's out there. Could definitely help you out.
He's definitely somebody with that high ceiling. So like you said, you know, if you're going to plug him in on a bye week, but keep him for the playoffs because, you know, if they're playing at home or they're playing in some warm weather with some, you know, poor defenses, especially pass defenses, definitely want to get him in. Guy I'm going to highlight is a rookie that's kind of just didn't really do much early in the season for good reason. There was Deontay Johnson, there was Adam Thielen on that team, and that was the 2 main starters. Well, Thielen got hurt, and Deontay Johnson's been traded, so Xavier Leggett has jumped right in, and he has put up 2 straight clutch games, actually 3 out of his last 4. Now, I will say, all touchdown dependent. So 3 for 23, 4 for 34, 4 for 33, but 3 out of those 4 games, caught a touchdown. Again, not going to get that every game, but Deontay Johnson's gone. Like you said, it's only really now it's Leggett. I mean, they traded away Jonathan Mingo, so they don't even have him anymore. So it's David Moore, Jalen Coker,
yeah.
Leggett. So there is not a lot to throw to. Now, granted, Bryce Young is, you know, is back kind of at the helm. Not great. That's why they've been running the ball a lot with Chuba Hubbard. But Leggett is certainly getting the end zone looks. And again, if you're in a very deep league like us, you've got, you know, very few available players on the web or on your waiver wire, and big bye weeks are coming up. Again, plan ahead, see if you can, you know, grab him now before it's too late, stash him and use him somewhere down the road. All right, let's move on to, I'm starting to worry now that quarterbacks and tight ends are really, really close when it comes to how inconsistent they are. I don't know if it's that bad yet. Let's see here. All right. Just got to compare. All right. Number of players over 70%. There are 5 quarterbacks and only 3 tight ends. So tight ends are still there. But as we said, quarterbacks are getting closer every day, and I'm not happy about it. And then there's too many other people. At the tight end position, George Kittle stayed at 86% because he was on a bye last week. Brock Bowers right up there now, 7 out of 9. He's first in total points, pulled ahead because he's played 2 more games than George Kittle, but he's now in first place, 78%. Trey McBride is working his way back. He's put up 5 straight clutch games. He's now at 75%. Cade Otton has put up 4 straight clutch games, 67%. And it's funny because a lot of people still don't know who Cade Otton is. I had a friend of mine call me, and he goes, "Hey, I want to make a trade with this guy. Let me know your thoughts on this trade." And this guy had Trey McBride and Cade Otton, and my buddy's team only had Tucker Kraft, and Tucker Kraft was going on a bye. And I said, "Well, have that guy throw Cade Otton in." And he goes, "Who's Cade Otton?" So, yeah, no respect. He's like Rodney Dangerfield. No respect for Cade Otton. But I told him to get Cade Otton. So he did. But anyway, so Ron, you know, we've got some other Evan Ingram, which I think is the player you're going to talk about. We'll let you talk about that one. Jake Ferguson, 57%. Kyle Pitts, 56%. Hunter Henry put up 4 straight, 56%. And then everybody else is 50 and under, including Mr. Travis Kelce. Ron, the tight end position has been ugly at best. A lot of intertwining that I've been doing in Kings Classic. I've gotten a Joku in one league, and I had Isaiah Likely in the other. And so I've been shifting. I've had Jonnu Smith in for a couple of weeks, who I'm going to talk about in a little bit. So give us your thoughts on the tight end position and who you want to talk about.
There's not much to add. I mean, it's brutal, especially with these bye weeks. I know you were talking about David Njoku. I have him in both Kings Classic leagues, and he's starting to come on for us both. And this week for me in both leagues is an Adam Troutman week because there's not much out there. So I'm praying for an Adam Troutman breakout game or at least a touchdown or something in it. But again, I don't want to say I'm praying for a clutch game because it only takes you probably about 4 points at tight end to get you a clutch game, and so they're not. They're definitely they don't.
You still got to get over at 8, but yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. So I'm all right. I'm sandbagging him a little bit, but it's kind of losing its luster for the tight end position, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So the guy that I want to target, yeah, you said it, Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram's the guy that didn't come on, had dealt with an injury at the beginning of the season, but when you look at those numbers, he's sitting there. Let's see, where is he at? He's sitting there at 60% consistent, but you look at some of these totals: 5 for 45 last game, 4 for 36 and a score, 5 for 35, and then of course that game against the Bears went 10 for 102. So not too many guys getting 100-yard games at tight end. He's one of the guys that's capable of it. I know Christian Kirk has been banged up. I don't own him anywhere, so I'm not sure of his status, but Brian Thomas has been a little nicked up too. He's been good, but Evan Ingram's the guy that they're going to have to target early and often. And the thing last week with those 5 catches, he did have 10 targets. He's seen 10 targets in at least in 2 of the games, and he's seen at least 5 in all the others but 1. So again, Trevor Lawrence is going to have to look for him if that offense is going to go. It appears that he's healthy. I just want to see him haul in more of those 10 targets than 5. I want to see him hauling in 8 or 9 and maybe add a touchdown if you have him. But again, he's a guy that you got to start because you don't really have much else. But Evan Ingram is a guy too that's been he's one of our more consistent guys last year. Guy that's capable, one of the few guys at tight end that's capable of breaking one from anywhere on the field.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you remember, as we were talking in the off season, this summer, I tried to get Ingram. Basically, it was Ingram or Pitts on most of my teams. So yeah, that early injury to him was really painful. But it's great to see him coming back and get him in there. I didn't get him in any of the Kings Classics, but yeah, a lot of my other leagues I have him in, and he's finally getting back to where I expect him to be. There's not too many other ones that really are kind of breaking out other than, the stars, and we try to stay away from them. I will bring up, even though I want to talk about somebody else, I will bring up Jatavian Sanders. If you're looking for a tight end this week, maybe you have Tucker Kraft, maybe you have Njoku, you need a fill in. Check him out. He plays for Carolina. Didn't know who he was because a lot of people don't. And he's put up 3 out of his last 4. So give him a grab. Check out, see if he's out there. Might not be a bad slide in bye week for you. Again, they're playing what I said this before. They're playing New England. No, the Giants. Giants at home. So good matchup for him. Bryce Young seems to like him a lot. Probably more than even Xavier Leggett and some of the other ones, but definitely check him out. But the guy I want to talk about has been, not too bad. So he's 50% consistent, but he's put up 3 out of his last 4. And a lot of the reason for that is Mr. Tua Tagovailoa is back. And so we're talking about Jonnu Smith. And, it's just been some nice number. Again, you don't have to get too many points to earn a clutch game at tight end. So he's been 5 for 46, 4 for 20, 7 for 96, and the touchdown was his big week in week 7 against Indy. He had 5 for 62 before his bye week in week 6. On week 5, he was 5 for 62. So he's been putting up some solid numbers, even with Tyreek and everybody back. But with Tua back, he certainly has been somebody that has been a great underneath choice for him with, Waddle and Hill spreading the field. He's open underneath. That's where they're going to at times. So, Tua right now has got to protect the head. And so he's trying not to take hits. So I think he's basically looking at if Tyreek or Waddle is open quick, he's going. If not, he's probably throwing. He certainly seems to be throwing underneath to Jonnu. So, again, could be somebody that's available. You never know. He hasn't set the world on fire. So, again, he might be hanging out there in those shallow leagues. So, Ron, anything else you want to add to that stuff as we get ready here? Thursday night game, good one tonight, Cincy and Baltimore. Hopefully we're looking for a lot of high scoring. But I assume you have a card of the week that you would like to share with us.
I do, and the thing about Jonnu Smith too. Don't forget, Jonnu Smith was a dude a couple of years ago. Man, he was a guy we talked quite a bit about at tight end in Tennessee there. So don't forget that as well. He's not his first rodeo. What I broke out tonight again, I just reached in the box and grabbed something random, and this is a nice one right here. If you can see it there, a little Jerry Rice action packed Monday Night Football card. And on the back of this, interesting stat, Jerry Rice had 19 career Monday Night Football touchdowns. And when you think about that, there's dudes that don't score that in 4 or 5 seasons. So if you're one of those youngins out there, as they say, if you don't know much about Jerry Rice, go back and watch, because he was a treat to watch. Other than that, go enjoy your week 10. Go enjoy the football tonight. Hope it's a high scoring game. Those of you I own Zay Flowers, we were talking about, Bobby, you got some Joe Burrow and some Derrick Henry in there as well, and some Jamar Chase. So hopefully you get what you need from tonight and into week 10. Check this out. Check out the waiver wire. Check out all the articles at BigGuyFantasySports.com. Of course, we're going to have the consistently cashing and the profit like it's hot this week. So go check out all of the consistency goodness over at BigGuyFantasySports.com.
Absolutely. Don't forget to follow me at Bob_Lung on the Twitter machine. That is at Ron Rigney as well. And as Ron said, check everything out. James Knight's under the radar waiver wire will be also out. When you see this, it's on. I'll guarantee you it's already on the site. So check all that out. Like you said, great stuff this weekend. I went 3 for 3 in props last weekend. I did. Let's not talk about what Colby did. But I went 3 for 3. I'm just saying. Colby struggled. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. So for Ron Rigney, Bob, everybody, take care. God bless. We'll see you soon.